We are So Not Straight would like to acknowledge that the recording of this podcast takes place on the unceded traditional territories of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh First Nations. Welcome to We Are So Not Straight,
the podcast where two drag sisters talk about everything curvy, swervy, and crooked.
We are your hosts, Michaela
And DJ.
And we are so happy you're tuning
in.
I don't know how that sounded. Once again, we sounded really good last week. May I just say?
Last week it was like
on it.
And
that'll probably be the last time, but...
Yeah, I was going to say, we get one good one a season, and then we're, cursed forever.
Exactly. Totally.
We are so happy to be back with another episode of Season 2, which is, drum roll, please, it's our finale episode!
Woo! But before we get into that, we just want to clarify a couple of things.
We just want to say that all forms of drag are valid.
Drag is a form of art, and all art is valid.
Second of all opinions stated on this podcast are ours.
Yep, ours only. Only our opinions. Nobody else's. Just ours.
Okay, so, being that this is our finale episode, you may be asking yourself, what's happening to the Drag Race Fantasy Draft?
Draft.
There it is. And it's not the last time. We do plan to finish it and keep you guys updated with our scores.
Yes, that will include, for our hiatus weeks, we're going to hopefully put our little draft scores. At least we're going to put, our team scores in our Instagram story. So if you do not follow us on Instagram, you should go do that. All of our links are down in our description or our bio, depending on if you're watching on YouTube or if you are listening on any other platform. Go follow us on our Instagram. That is where we will be doing all of our updates for our 2 weeks that we are not going to be doing our podcast. And then when we come back in 2 weeks, we will continue our updates until we get to the finale and we get winners.
I was gonna say, I don't think with the queens that we have left, I think it'll probably bleed into finale into season 3.
I think so. Yeah. So there will definitely be updates at the beginning of season 3. Do not worry. We are not forgetting about our Drag Race Fantasy League draft.
Draft.
Good, you picked up on it. I was hoping you were going to.
Yeah, I'm not that zoned out yet.
All right, DJ, do you want to get us going?
Okay, so last week, obligatory spoiler countdown, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So last week we lost Marshalls.
Marshalls, not Marshalls.
Would you prefer Burlington?
I am so mad at you right now. It is not even funny.
You guys,
y'all,
the crystal worked.
I will insert, y'all. I did not include the clip that DJ is referring to, but I will literally right now put. So DJ was for the past 2 weeks has been using his crystal ball. Which he will go grab apparently. Anyways, he's been using it, and he was putting a curse over Marsha, and I do not appreciate that fact.
It's not a curse.
Yes.
It's putting out the energy that you want to receive, and when you have a cleansed crystal, they can take away all that negative energy. They can also put out energy.
Anyways, I will insert the clip of DJ, he says it's not cursing. I'm going to say cursing Marsha with his crystal right here. I love the fact that you say every single week that it's shocking that Marsha has a score of whatever the highest score is.
Listen, I was expecting her to go home a lot earlier, and I think her time might be coming.
Do not say that. We are not saying that. We are not going there.
Should I get my crystal again and put my energy into that?
No, I already have you on footage doing that. Do not. DJ. DJ.
Marsha will go home. Marsha,
No more
Marsha,
wins
Marsha,
for
whoa,
Nathaniel.
No more wins for Marsha.
Why? Why are you attacking my performance?
Because she's weaponizing her BFA.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
Oh my god.
Yeah, so now you see why I'm mad at DJ.
They work, folks. If you believe the earth is flat, you might as well give this a shot once in a while.
Okay, but
you know?
DJ, logic says Nathaniel still has 3 people. You didn't wish, like, for one of his to go home. Why is that? He's going to win the entire thing.
No, because I know Mistress is going to win the actual competition.
But we're all at 1 person now. I'm at 1 person, you're at 1 person, Joey and Connor at 1 person, and then Nathaniel has 3.
Listen, my dream of winning this draft left with Irene Dubois. So I'm
as soon as DJ lost the first performer, he was like, okay, well,
that's a curse.
That's the end. Thank you so much for I'm out. I'm leaving. Bye.
So I decided to focus my energy in other areas and focus on winning the crown.
Right.
Yeah.
I
would advise
no
you to
offense,
do that
no
too.
offense to Lux, because I love Lux, but I think I'm out of this draft. I don't think I have any hope in heck.
But we shall see. Anyways, let's get
Also,
into...
I'm just going to say one thing. I definitely think that Marsha got sacrificed this week. I don't think Marsha should have been in the bottom. Do not hand me. Do not do that.
When you talk about Marsha, all I hear is the teacher from Charlie Goddard.
Oh, stop. Okay, no, I'm just going to explain a fact here. I don't know if people who have been watching the episodes, okay, comment down below and let me know if you're on the YouTube one. Comment down below and let me know if you agree. But I thought that Anitra and Anitra and Sasha's performances were worse than Marsha's performance. I thought Marsha's performance, although it wasn't great, I thought it was still had at least something. I don't understand why Anitra was in the bottom, but Sasha wasn't. So, yeah, little confused. I guess they thought that her outfit saved her. I don't know, but I don't agree. I definitely thought that Sasha should have been in the bottom, and I know that I'm going to get a lot of hate for that because everybody loves Sasha Colby, but I'm sorry. I disagree. Sasha should have been in the bottom, and I'm standing by that fact. Thank you. Continue, DJ. Go ahead.
Sorry, I zoned out. Anyway, so after last week, the individual draft scores, not after last week, for last week, the individual draft scores are Sasha Colby with the score of 40, Lux Noir London with the score of 37, Mistress Isabel Brooks with the score of 40, Lucy LaDuca with the score of 43, Anitra with the score of 37, and Selena S. Titties with the score of 6.
Poor Selena being a last pick for our group and being an alternate, just unfortunately that has made her score just...
Wait, what if the bottom this week is Lux versus Selena?
Don't say that.
I think it could be likely.
I cannot afford to lose another one because I will be out.
No, but I have a feeling Selena will go just because she's been in the bottom, twice already?
Yeah, has Lux even been in the bottom yet? Like, lip sync wise. I know that Lux has been in the bottom. I think Lux has been in the bottom before, but I don't think she's lip synced.
I don't think so.
No, she hasn't, because when it got to the lip sync Lollapalooza, both Lux and Marsha, for me, had not lip synced in the bottom.
Right.
So
okay. So that was really quick. Normally I'm like out of breath reading the list. But the draft totals are Team Minx with the score of 99, Team Trouble with a score of 90, Team Lilith with a score of 70, and
you
Team
can't even
Joey
say your own name.
There's a lot of L's, okay? Team Joey and Connor with a score of 67.
I have dropped once again.
Bombastic side
I literally have been like just slowly just plummeting. It's very unfortunate.
Meanwhile, Joey and Connor are back there like
we're still here.
Lucy let loose one too many times and they fell all the way in the back.
Not that,
Like,
but I
Lucy,
mean, Lucy, but
don't
here's the
let
thing though,
loose.
Lucy has one of the highest draft scores.
But they're the only one, so it puts them behind.
Well, and I technically, if I hadn't lost Marsha this week, I wouldn't
Here
be
we go, Marsha.
as far behind because Nathaniel would have lost one of his.
So yeah, we'll see who goes home tonight.
Yes,
I don't know.
as y'all know, we usually film on Fridays, so that's what we're doing. So we will find out who goes home tonight on the new episode.
40 minutes.
Yep. That's a great update. All right, thank you for that, dude. We actually wanted to give you a little update from a couple of episodes ago. You all know that we had the incredible Carmela Barr on the podcast a couple of episodes ago, and we mentioned in that podcast and also a little bit in the podcast before that Carmela was running for a thing called Emprix 51 with the Dogwood Monarch Society in Vancouver. And we have a little update for you on that. Go ahead, DJ.
They won!
Woo! Yay! Both Carmela and Scotty, who Carmela mentioned in their little PSA conversation that they had with us, both of them got elected and are now the 51st Monarch Society reign people. I don't know how to explain it. I'm really bad at words. I'm sorry. Emprix and Emperor.
Oh, okay.
Yes! Oh, I'm so excited. I am so happy. Very, very, very excited
Me
about that.
too,
And
bitch.
So excited. You will definitely be hearing more about their reign and stuff in the coming season of the podcast because we for sure are going to have Carmela on, maybe even Scotty on. That'd be really cool. I would love to have
Scotty on.
Scotty, if you're listening to the podcast, hit us up. We would love to have you on the podcast.
Yeah, slide
Carmela,
in.
if you're listening to the podcast, please tell Scotty we would like to have him on the podcast.
Carmela's over here like, excuse me.
But yes, we just wanted everybody to be aware that is what has happened, and we are so very proud and very happy for both of them, and we can't wait to see what they do with their reigns. We're so excited!
Okay, now we can get into the fabulous finale interview. Yes,
guys, I'm so excited for this interview, and I think you guys are going to enjoy this interview so much because this individual that we talked to has quickly become one of my favorite people. They're am absolutely
so just
obsessed.
They give like art teacher who like is like just everything you want. Like,
yeah. You are about to hear our incredible interview with the one and only Genesis, who also happens to be the winner of the 10th season of Vancouver's Next Drag Superstar.
And they freshly won too. Like,
yes, we literally interviewed them like a week after they, I think they say it in the interview, but a week after they actually were officially crowned winner. And we talk about a bunch of stuff, not just Vancouver's Next Superstar, although obviously there is conversation about that. But we talked about a bunch of other stuff, so you're going to have such a great interview to listen to. We're really excited for you to hear it. So let's get into it. Please enjoy our interview with the one and only Genesis.
Welcome to another segment of Let Me Introduce You. This week we are giving you an experience, the Genesis experience specifically. So everyone help me welcome our newest performer, Genesis.
Hi! Hello, everybody.
Hello.
I'm Genesis. Nice to be on the pod. Thank you for having me.
Oh, we are so excited to have you on this podcast. I mean, I reached out to you a couple weeks ago being like, Genesis, I would love to have you on the podcast. Do you want to be on the podcast?
Yeah.
So I am so glad that we are finally getting to do this. Very excited.
Yeah, thank you. We were saying before we started, this is my first like official time as a guest on a podcast. So it's very special for me. So I'm very happy. Thank you.
I'm all for
Yay.
first times. Ew, I hated that. Cut that out.
You never forget your first. No, it's very special. You got to leave it in.
I leave everything that DJ says that is like a dumb comment in our podcast, and he knows it, so he doesn't get a choice.
Perfect.
Because I edit. So that's how it works.
Thanks, Michaela.
We're back.
Yeah, you're welcome. All right. So I want to go back a bit. How did you get into the drag scene? What is the background of Genesis?
Yeah, so I'm a big old musical theater kid. Definitely went down the like queer musical theater kid to drag performer pipeline. And you might hear my cat running around in the background. I'm sorry.
You have a cat?
I have two. They're very special.
What are their names?
We can
Sorry,
talk about that
animals.
instead of drag. It's honestly more exciting. My cat's names are Butters and Toast. Yeah.
I love that.
Oh, I got it.
They're really good. They're really good boys. Yeah. So anyway, I did musical theater from the time I was around 9 years old to around, let's say, like 22-ish. I did lots of community theater and lessons and different things. And then one of the last, actually the last musical I did was in 2018. I played Frankenfurter in the Rocky Horror Picture Show. And it was my first time getting to play around with like expressing a different gender identity on stage. And I got to like be bisexual in a show. Like I got to kiss a girl and a boy on stage, and that was so special for me. And so doing that, it was my first time on stage expressing those things, and then also getting to express my sexuality on stage. Like it was a whole show where I was in lingerie, the whole show basically. And I loved it. I loved the way that that felt. I had so much fun. It was so empowering. And so after I did that, it like tickled a little part of me that felt so nice. And so I started doing burlesque shortly after. And then I wanted a place outside of burlesque where I could still channel some of those like musical theater kind of passions and do whatever music I wanted, be as masculine or as feminine as I wanted. And drag is perfect for that. It's like such a good intersection of all types of performing where you can really express yourself however you want, free from the confines of any sort of gendered ideas. And so I really get to like, I can do musical theater songs or pop songs or old songs, new songs, whatever I want in drag. And it's like so freeing. So yeah, so I started doing drag only about a year and a half ago officially. I did one show before the pandemic, but like that doesn't really count because it was another lifetime and so long ago. So I got my real start in November of 2021. It would have been, I did my like official premiere, and then I have been doing drag consistently ever since. Yeah.
No, I love that. I also wanted to know, how did you come up with the name Genesis? Because, like, I really like your name, but I don't know the backstory of it.
Okay, well, when I started doing burlesque, it was under the name Alicia Tease, which is really fun and cute. And I didn't come up with it. I can't take credit, but, like, I think it's a wonderful name. It's so good.
I love that.
But it's very, like, feminine. And it also is, like, obviously playing off of the name of someone else. I wanted something that's more original. So I went with the name of a band that is, so it's not original at all. You see a million things in Genesis. I like walk down the street and I'm like, oh, Genesis Security, Genesis Nutrition, whatever. So it's not original either. You're never going to be able to Google me. There's a Genesis Nutrition on Davie Street, like blocks from my house.
I was going to say there's one on Davies.
Yeah. And I see it all the time. So, that's
you
really
should
fun.
reach out to them and be like,
collab?
Hey, if you want to sponsor,
right?
I'm here.
They'd be missing out if they said no. Like,
yeah,
come on,
exactly.
Such a good opportunity. So anyway, I was raised Catholic. I thought it would be really fun to have a name that, I know, scary, right? And it would be really fun to have a name that was playing off of the Bible a little bit, poking fun.
Oh wait, is that like the creation story.
Exactly. And so the like definition of the word Genesis is like new beginning, new birth. It's like the start of something new kind of thing. And that's what drag was for me as well. It was the beginning of this new journey for me in exploring my gender identity, trying a different type of performance. And so it kind of like speaks to all of those things. And I think that's really special.
I love that.
And it's funny, it's
Me
a cool
too.
name now. Like, people call me Genesis. I'm in more spaces where I am referred to as Genesis than I am as my real name. And like, that's what I'm so used to putting at the bottom of my emails now. And most people that I interact with on the day-to-day don't even know what my real name is anymore. And that's so strange for me, because I feel like that happened so suddenly, where now people, that's what my name is to people. So thank God it's a pretty cool name, or else I'd be like, my name is Mr. Butt Stuff. What do I do with that? So I'm thank God I didn't do something too silly.
So at least you chose something that, isn't like that. So
yeah.
Honestly, that's kind of sickening. Like, if I saw him in a club, I'd be like,
Mr. Butt Stuff was not on the list of options. I was never great at improv, so that's that's what I came up with.
Oh my God, I should make
also
like a teddy bear called that.
No.
I feel like musical theater performers are like super great at like getting a script in front of them and being like, look, I can do this really well. And then they tell you to improv and you're like, so about that.
Yeah.
Michaela, you can't do some yes and some Uta Hagen, some no.
It turns out really weird if I try to.
Yeah.
It's like I go into a like circle where I'll like start with something and then it sort of evolves and then it kind of just circles back to whatever I was talking about 2 seconds before that.
No,
I get it. I'm so impressed by good improv. That could not be me. And you know what? I actually think that's why I succeeded at the competition, Vancouver's Next Drag Superstar, because they gave us a prompt every week. And yes, that's hard, but I found it easier than when I'm just doing like random 5 shows a week and I have to choose new songs every time and I can do whatever the hell I want. I put out such better material when, even if I just have the theme of like, your number has to do with water. I'm like, great, I can do so much with that. It like gives me a little bit of a sense of direction rather than just the freedom of doing whatever I want.
Yeah.
That freedom can be really great in some ways, but in other ways, like, I find it really overwhelming. And sometimes, like, as a person with ADHD too, my brain just goes in a million places and then I'm like, I have too many ideas and I can't narrow it down. So I actually really liked doing drag in an environment where I had a bit more of like themes and a sense of direction. That was very helpful for me.
No, I feel that. I get so overwhelmed and they're like, you have total creative freedom. And I'm like,
I don't want that.
yeah. It's like, give me something. Give me some kind of structure, some kind of something somewhere.
Yeah.
So you mentioned Vancouver's Next Drag Superstar. Mm-hmm. We'll get to that in a bit, but we're still kind of in...
get to know you.
I don't want to say in the beginning because that's very biblical.
Yeah, I mean, it's very on brand, so
we love
not
that.
Mad about it.
Oh my God, a rhinestone Bible would be like so cute. Anyway, like
I'm gonna write that down.
Now you've just given Genesis an idea.
Yeah. Thank you. Keep them coming. Keep them coming.
Wait,
I need the inspiration.
I like Jesus number, full like white everything, like the rhinestone, like crown of thorns, like
yes,
Bloody Mary.
Well, Easter is next month, and I really want to do
Easter
like
is next month.
I don't want to say anti-Christian. That sounds harsh, but like poking fun.
I get what you mean.
I mean, they can take it. They can take the criticism. I think that would be really fun, and I like want to sing a song from Jesus Christ Superstar, and I think it would be such a good time.
Oh my God, that'd be so fun.
Right? I think it's a great idea.
Okay. So, who and what? Sorry, I'm like, my brain like had a moment.
Mm-hmm.
Who or what are your biggest inspirations in drag?
Ooh, so I'm very inspired by musical theater things. Like, I love Frankenfurter. I love Hedwig and the Angry Inch. All of like lots of Broadway inspiration, all the most famous Broadway boys. I'm in love with all of them. I'm also in love with all the famous Broadway girls, and I want to be them all. And I love it. And so I'm very inspired by that. I also take a lot of inspiration from like 80s and 70s, like disco and androgynous pop star kind of thing, like Prince and David Bowie and that kind of vibe. I try to really watch a lot of different music videos and live performances from like stars throughout the ages and just see like what those people that have a really special spark on stage do and try to take little tidbits from everybody. And so, like, I love Lady Gaga. Lady Gaga is my wife. That's a big inspiration forever.
I saw her in August, and it was, like, the best moment of my entire goddamn life.
Amazing. Did you see her, like, in New York?
Yeah, I saw her at MetLife. Technically New Jersey, but, like, no one needs to know about that.
Yeah, I saw her on the Joanne tour, and that's the only time. And it was so good. I cried so much. And, yeah. So, like, that whole, like, Lady Gaga on it's like, she's an incredible dancer, incredible singer, actor, everything. And I love that, like, she's not afraid to get weird, but also embrace, like, really strong performances as far as acting and storytelling and emotions. I just, all of it is so good. Yeah.
It's Gaga. I mean, like, hello.
I know.
Sorry,
Can't go wrong.
I'm like, I geek for Lady Gaga. I'm like...
That's true.
Same. And I've actually
I
never
feel like
done
everybody does.
I've never done any Lady Gaga songs in my drag, but I want to so bad. But it's just such a, like, popular choice that everyone
I was
does.
going to say,
so...
I feel like you go
could
to
do,
a
like,
brunch
older.
and almost, there's at least one performance that's a Lady Gaga song.
It's like a legal requirement. And as it should be. But that's
United
the thing.
States
Like,
of
I don't want to do
Chromatica.
it and not do it as well as everyone else does, or
Fair.
do it, you know, like, and I think I would do some Lady Gaga songs really well, and I totally will at some point, but at least right now, too, I'm, like, really trying to establish, like, what my style is, and I feel like I have a pretty good idea of, like, what the Genesis brand is, kind of, and it's, yeah, I love, like, retro and theater and sexy. That's what I want people to think of when they think.
I was going to say,
you know,
sexy is in there too, for sure.
Yeah. That's a big part of what I like to do as well.
So, wait, so you mentioned I've seen, like, burlesque around your name a little bit.
Mhm.
If, like, I live for some burlesque.
Yes.
Who is your favorite burlesque girly?
Oof. Oh my God, that's such a good question. There's so many local people in Vancouver that I'm very inspired by. That's who I see the most, just because that is the way it is. And so locally, like, I have a friend who was in my show, La Dame Derriere, who is so freaking hot and
That's a good
talented, and, like,
So good.
I want to work with them always, forever and ever. And I work with some really cool companies in Vancouver, like Geekenders, who does, like, all nerd burlesque, and yeah, so I'm very inspired by, like, my local friends. And then just in general, like, a lot of my burlesque influences, I do still pull from the same things that I pull from my drag from, as far as, like, musical theater influences. And still, the more that I get comfortable with my own gender presentation, the more comfortable I am, like, bringing that into all types of performing that I do. And so I'm less feeling like I have to present feminine in burlesque all the time, and I can really bring some, like, sexy androgyny into it as well.
Yes.
So yeah.
Totally. So obviously, I mean, we know we've talked about it before, but you're a part of the Vancouver drag scene.
Mm-hmm.
What's something that you would like to see more of in the Vancouver drag scene that maybe we don't get to see as much?
Yeah. That's such a good question. You're getting to see more variety shows. I think that that's something that's becoming more popular, and something that I really love, because I do the burlesque as well, and I do live singing, and I love shows where I can kind of take all my types of performing that I like to do and put them together. So I would love to see more of that, and I do think it's heading in that direction. I also, what else? I would love to see some, like, bigger drag productions. Like my dream is to do like an all drag Little Shop of Horrors where it's like every character
I
is
would
drag,
die.
right?
I would die.
Right?
That would
And
be
the plant
so
in the back
fun.
is really like
and like casual.
Count me in on that one. I would totally 100% do that.
You can
Exactly.
cast Michaela as the stage. It would be
Yeah.
great.
Not the stage.
Love you.
Casual kind of drag shows, like so many drag shows don't have a lot of curation, and people just kind of show up and do whatever songs they want, and it's very loosey-goosey, and like the host doesn't even know what songs people are doing until they get out there and do them. And that's fine. There's totally a place for that, and it's awesome, but I would love to see drag shows that have a bit more curation, and like I love things with a theme. I'm in a show later this month that is Shrek drag show. And it's
I was about to say, I saw that one with the four of you from the finale.
Right? So
A Shrek, that's incredible.
does bring me right back to being in grade 11 and doing Shrek the musical.
Oh,
So first, when I
feel
saw
like
the theme, I was like,
you're not a true theater kid unless you've done like Seussical or like Shrek.
yes,
Like
exactly.
those are the two that's like, all right, here's your
freaking true.
plaque, you know.
Oh yeah. So like like I said before, I love things with a theme. And I would love to see more shows like that have a bit more curation, theme nights, all of those kind of things really tickle my fancy, both as like a performer and to watch. I like that a lot.
No, for sure. I mean, I totally agree. I think I find the ones that are themed more interesting because I feel like themes can be taken in different ways versus being very random with like performances and stuff. Not that I don't love that, because I do. But like if it's I'm doing a show that I'm hosting in June, and it's Heroes versus Villains theme. And I'm like really excited to see how people are going to interpret that too, because I think that there's a lot of different ways it could be interpreted, but at least it's all going to have something to do with, you know, heroes in one half, villains in the other. So I will know kind of what's happening. Whereas like, yeah, it's great to have like those random ones where someone comes out and does like a Lady Gaga number and a big belting
and then next
number.
you get them crying on the floor. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I think that's really cool too, to have those themes and things. And I think the Little Shop of Horrors all drag would be so cool.
Right?
So
I
cool.
really want that. There's a few musicals that like not even doing like the full show. The full show would be amazing, but even just doing like an abridged version where like the whole show is like songs from this musical, but it's all drag. Like that's what I would love to start producing. And I have some other people in the drag scene that are from a theater background as well that would really be interested in that. So that's something I would love to put together. Yeah.
Love it.
I didn't do any background. I'm gonna be frank. I didn't do any background research like on you, not to be like stalkery or anything. But I'm really living for you right now.
Yay! Thank you. Let's be friends.
Yay, friends!
Michaela's like, yay! Michaela's like, my plan is working.
So
bring everyone to Vancouver.
Well, yes, you are going to move to Vancouver. It's a plan. But anyways, I was going to say, funny story. I messaged Genesis yesterday and I was like, look what my grandpa sent me. And it was your article from CTV. Yeah. My grandpa sent was like, did you see this? And I was like, oh yeah, that's my friend Genesis. And I was like, wait, I can call them a friend. That's really cool. I was like, this is exciting.
Oh my God, that made me so happy. And like, just that your grandpa saw that and thought of you. And it seems like he's very supportive based on that one thing. Like, that's so cool. Yeah.
Yeah, he sends me anything that has to do with drag, he'll send it to me. But he also knew that I was going to the shows too. And so he was like, oh, did you see this? And I was like, yes, I did. That is my friend on that thing right there. So cool.
Yeah.
Yes. Love it.
Speaking of shows, let's talk about Vancouver's Next Drag Superstar.
Yeah, we might as well.
Which, spoiler warning, they won. So, you know. Yeah. That's cool.
It is cool. It was only just go today. Like the finale was 1 week ago, which is crazy. It feels like both another lifetime, but also like it just happened. It's so weird. Yeah, it was really cool. So it's a drag competition in Vancouver, obviously, that happens once a year. This was the first one since before the pandemic. So it was a very special one, and it was also the 10th Vancouver's Next Drag Superstar ever. And it is a competition that happens over 4 weeks of different challenges. So every week you have 6 days to put together typically a runway performance and a song. Like that's the typical kind of thing. But of course there's like a group number and social media challenges and different little bonus things that you have to do as well. So it was quite a marathon of having to do it every week for 4 weeks, but I did it. And I did win. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
What made you want to like sign up for it in the first place?
So I did another competition last year. I've never been like a very competitive person or anything. I'm like way too like conflict avoidant and stuff to want to do that. It's not really my jam. And I didn't do any like sports or anything. I'm not that kind of person. And so I did this other competition last year that was just a one night only competition, and it was really fun, but I went into it with so much anxiety. I was so stressed the whole week leading up to it. And so I just did a song that was like very safe. I'd done it before, easy peasy. Like I didn't go out of my comfort zone or anything. And I did fine. It was a good performance. I'm proud of what I did, but like I didn't place or anything. And I said after that, like, I am never doing a competition again. This was so stressful. This is not for me. And then all of a sudden submissions came out for this competition. And I was like, oh, maybe I should. Because even just in the last, I think maybe it's been like 8 months since that first competition or something like that, my confidence has grown so much in that time. I feel so much stronger as a performer, so much more sure of myself. My mental health is a lot more stable. And I was like, you know what? I think I can do this. And even just for the opportunity to do my drag in front of a different audience and to get introduced to like some bigger producers that cast for bigger shows and stuff like that, and to kind of show what I can do on a higher stakes environment was what I wanted. So what I thought was, even if I just make it through the first week, what I want is to like show myself to a different sector of the drag scene, show myself to more people, and like get to perform on a bigger stage and do something higher stakes. So that was kind of the mindset that I went into it with, was like, yes, winning would be really cool, but I knew what I wanted to gain from it either way. And the thing is too, like we started with 24 people in the competition at week 1.
Wait, 24 in 4 weeks?
Yeah.
It was the first time that they had that many contestants.
Yeah.
There was
Did
that many
6
people
people
who
go
wanted
home
to be
every
in it.
week?
So what they did was
Yes.
they split week 1 into 2. So it was 12 people in the first week, and they cut 6, and then 12 people the next week, and they cut 6. And then they brought all 12 of those people that made it through the first 2 weeks into the next challenge. So it was pretty ruthless. Like we went from like 12 to 6, 12 to 6, and then we had 12 left. And then that went down to 8, and then it went from 8 to 4, and then from 4 to 1.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
The end.
So it was like such a whirlwind and like so all consuming. Like since I got the email that said, hey, you're in the competition, here's your first challenge, until the day it was done, I swear to God, it was the only thing I thought about or talked about every minute of every day. Like it was a lot, because the thing is, you only have 6 days to put together each challenge. So I could have worked on it 24/7 every minute that I had and still have walked into each show feeling like I didn't do enough. There's so much that you can do as far as prepping, choreography, costumes, the social media challenge, everything that you have to do. And so I would wake up in the morning, immediately start thinking about it and like rhinestoning costumes and working on practicing and learning my words and all this stuff. And I would go lay in bed at night and still not be able to turn off my brain and stop thinking about it, because there's just so much to do. So the relief I felt when it was over is so good. I'm like still riding that high of just having it be done. That feels really nice, because it was like my whole life for a month, which was fun. It's really nice in my therapy this morning, I said to them, Like, I didn't really think about any of my problems this month because I was so busy. I was focused on this. So I've like have been not thinking about any serious things at all, which is kind of nice. And so I'm really happy it's over. I'm happy that I won on my first try, so I don't feel compelled to do it again, because lots of people and do the competition a second time. And like, I'm never gonna have to do that. I love that. So
you don't have to worry about it.
That
Plus,
was good.
Next season you might get called back as like a judge.
Yeah.
And then you can like be on like the other end.
Cara was the last reigning Vancouver's Next Drag Superstar. Actually was the reigning superstar for 3 years because of the pandemic. But they were the judge for every week for this competition this time. So
and I'm
sure
actually so excited for that. Back. Like I'm so pumped to come back and judge. I think I'm gonna be really good at it. And
plus it'll be nice to be on like the opposite end of it.
Totally.
Like, whenever I've judged like anything and like have done it before, I'm standing on the stage like sweating, and then judging, you're like, all right.
Yeah, exactly. I just get to like show up and be pretty and like tell
be pretty
how they did. I love that. And I would come back and host one year if they wanted me to. Like, I'm super into all that kind of thing. So I did it to really like challenge myself. I also, the thing is, when you're doing random drag shows where you like show up at a random like gay bar or brunch restaurant or wherever you're doing your show, and you just kind of lip sync a song you've done a million times, and you're like running between tables, and it's very loosey-goosey and stuff. I'm not like challenging myself very often. I'm not pushing myself to go a ton out of my comfort zone and really put together like jaw-dropping performances for a brunch crowd on a Sunday, you know? Like, yes, I'm always showing up and doing my best, but it's easy when you're doing that, especially like I'm a full-time performer, so it's really exhausting to be putting out completely new things and trying different things. So I kind of felt like I don't want to say plateauing, because I was still growing and still doing, trying to get better consistently, of course. But yeah, you get into your comfort zone and you're kind of doing the same thing. So I knew in my heart that I'm capable of doing more than that, especially because I like have all this musical theater background. I've like been a lead in shows before, and I know that I'm capable of so much more than what people see from me at like a random average show on a weekend. And I wanted an opportunity to show that to people. I knew that I could be doing like bigger, better, more dramatic kind of performances than what I think the scene had seen from me before. And that was what I really wanted to show, was like show myself what I'm capable of and show them what I'm capable of. And even from my first performance in the competition, if you didn't do any research of me, you wouldn't know, but I did this really cool.
I was
literally about to talk about this
you
performance.
did WAP and The Little Mermaid.
Yes.
And that is when I was like,
that. Yes. So you have seen it. That's what I did in my first
It was killer.
And it was so much fun. I don't think I ever in my life will have another performance where an audience reacts to me like that. It was kind of insane. Like when the music turned into WAP, I could not hear the music at all. The audience was so loud. And that was really freaking cool. I've never had that before. So that, like, after that night, I had all these people that I'd been like watching in the drag scene for years and years coming up to me and messaging me and telling me how great it was and stuff. And I, within that first week, already received all the things that I wanted to gain from this competition, as far as like getting validation from the community, showing people what I'm capable of, doing a performance that is a little bit like bigger and more exciting than my average shows. And so it felt so good to do that. And immediately in that first week, I was like, oh, maybe I'm going to do good in this. Like, you never know, right? Of course. And especially when there's 24 amazing artists of different levels of experience and skill and all of that. But all of our art is so uniquely different from each other. Drag can mean so many different things, and it's really hard to rank against each other when one person is like doing a live singing performance and kind of standing in the spot, and it's an amazing performance, and then another person is doing like death drops and splits and crazy shenanigans. And then another person is like totally
Shenanigans.
comedic. Like, how do you compare those things? It's so different.
Yeah.
So I think with that in mind, all of us knew like we're going to be happy with whoever wins. When I was standing on stage with the top 4 waiting to hear who won, I was trying to really like get out of my head because I can be really hard on myself sometimes and be really mean to myself. And I said earlier, if I lose, I don't want that to feel like it's because I did a bad job. It doesn't mean that I'm bad at this. It doesn't mean that I did bad in the competition. It just like people's taste is going to be so different. People are going to have different supporters for different reasons and reasons why they connect with the audience or why they don't. Like, it's nothing personal. Doesn't say anything about the quality of my performance. And I was like saying that to myself in my head while I was waiting to hear the results. And I was holding hands with the other person who was in the top 2. And I was saying in my head, like, they might win right now. And that would be okay too. Their art is completely different than mine. And it doesn't mean a thing about me if they win. I will be so happy for them and they are just as deserving. And that's like what I really had to keep reminding myself throughout this whole process. But then I won and it feels really validating because I am constantly dealing with imposter syndrome like every artist is always. And it just like to get this recognition from the community and to be celebrated for doing what I love at this level feels so good. It's so cool. And so I'm really, obviously I'm really happy with how it turned out. I was like really riding high that night and the next morning. And then I like crashed because like it's really interesting because when I used to do musicals, I would always get that like crash after the show is done and that like post-show blues, glitter crash, whatever you want to call it.
Glitter crash.
Glitter crash
That
is a
sounds
phrase
like an
that I hear
emo
in
band
burlesque a
from
lot.
like the 2000s.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, we're glitter crash and
Yeah,
I don't know.
exactly. That is the vibe. And so I used to like have a pretty big emotional meltdown after all of my shows where I'm also like very neurodivergent, like we all are. And I would have a really big emotional meltdown from like childhood until older after I did musicals a lot of the time because it's like so much stimulation and you're around, you like make this new family with all the cast and everything. And you're like so many feelings all the time and you get so used to that routine and then it just ends. And that's a really emotional process to deal with. And I used to have like really bad breakdowns after shows. And now I don't really get that anymore because I'm performing so often, but it's always like little show. And then I've got a different little show the next day. But that is also a lot on my brain because I'm constantly in the state of like rehearsals and I've got a show tonight and I'm crashing from last night's show like all the time. But so I don't process those feelings often enough, which is something else to deal with, but whatever. Whereas this really did kind of feel like doing a proper production once again for the first time in a long time because I was seeing the same performers backstage every week, kind of going to the same place once a week to do these big shows and getting into this routine of like doing all of that. And that was the first time I'd had something like that in quite a long time. And I like had my big crash on Saturday. But then conveniently enough, I had a show that night. So I had to be in this state of like, oh, I'm like crashing really hard from the like overstimulation and emotions and all of these things. But I also have to, for the first time since winning, go be in front of a bunch of people. And I was like having this big mess of emotions where I was like so happy about it. But also then it suddenly occurred to me like, oh my God, now I'm not the underdog. Now I'm not like, welcome to stage. This performer's new, so give them lots of love. Now it's like, oh, this performer is successful. So keep your expectations high. Let's hope they don't disappoint. That's what it feels like
Oh God.
now.
Right.
And so I was like sitting backstage at this show that I had a couple days after the competition. And people keep coming up to me and being like, oh my God, congrats, good job. And I'm like, I don't want to talk to anyone. I'm not ready to
You're like, I just want to sit here.
Yeah. And it was like super intimidating and overwhelming, all this attention that I was getting all of a sudden. And then also dealing with like, I was like, oh my God, what if my performance is a letdown tonight and everyone thinks like, this person has a tight, why did they win? That wasn't even that good. Like, that's what I'm so scared people are going to say after all my performances now. Which is really tough. And so I'm trying.
I was about to say that I don't think that's fair to yourself, because
like,
I don't think anybody, I think people in general, I think you perform. I mean, I know I perform because I love to perform, and that's kind of the way that it is. And if it's something that I love doing and it's something that I'm proud of, then that should be good enough. And if people want to go and say that they don't feel that way, then that's fine. They can have their opinions. Everybody has their own opinions, but I can have my own opinion too. And if I think I did great, then I did great.
Yeah.
It's like, did y'all ever have to take like a midterm in school or like standardized like testing? I fucking hated that.
Of course.
Because it's like, it's testing your knowledge in one point of time. So you can either do really, really amazing or really, really shit. I think we know what end of the spectrum I ended up on. But like, it's like, that like this performance is not gonna be a letdown because it's only one measure of time and the win is so amazing and it's that moment in time. And yes, it can give you a platform and it absolutely should because it's a huge accomplishment. But it's also like my work is my work and it's amazing. And if you can't see that and if you're only looking at this one measure in time, what the hell?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And it's so funny. Like, it's so important to be reminded of that. Because I think a lot of times with different artistic projects, you feel like you are only as good as your last show or your last whatever you did. Like, which is so obviously not the way it works. In anything, progress is never going to be linear. You're never going to be like, every single thing is better than the last consistently for the rest of my life. That's not how it's going to go. You're going to have like an amazing night and then you might flop the next night. And that's the way it is with literally everything. And that can be really hard to grapple with though, because in your head, it feels like I could know like, oh my God, I did the most incredible performance a couple weeks ago. But then if I do a performance that feels kind of lukewarm tonight, that's how I'm going to, in my head, I'm going to feel like, oh, I'm only as good as what I did last night, even though I know that I'm capable of something so much better, which is so silly and so not the way that it works and not the way that other people think of you. Like when they think of you, they're thinking of your whole catalog of work, not one night that they saw you where you might have felt a little tired or sore or not been at your best.
Absolutely.
I feel like that's kind of the same with like Drag Race too.
Yeah.
Or like any drag televised anything. Like people base their assumptions and their stuff off of like whatever performer, off of a television show.
Yeah. And there's people that can be amazingly good at drag, but not necessarily good at Drag Race. And like same in this competition. True. There's some people who are amazing at drag, but like just maybe not great in a competition setting. Yeah. You can know your science really well and not do great on the midterm if you're just like not good at testing, you know? Like it's the same thing.
Yeah.
And so
I think that's performance. I think that's performance wise and also personality wise.
Yeah.
I mean, I think there's been performers examples of like going on to Canada's Drag Race and like we have local performers who have been on Canada's Drag Race who I've talked to and absolutely adore and love and whatever. But some people found them either boring or didn't like their personalities on the show. Well, that's because they don't know them in person. They're seeing an edited version.
Exactly.
Thanks, Michaela.
Things. Meanwhile, we've talked to them in past times and love them and all this stuff.
Exactly. So and you can be like,
those things.
You can be an amazing stage performer, but if you have no experience on TV, especially on like a reality TV show where the people that thrive are going to be the people who like have a big personality while they're doing their makeup and stuff like that. Like there's some people, even myself included, there's a lot of days where like, I don't want to talk to people while I get ready. I don't want to talk and like kiki and be crazy backstage. A lot of the time before shows, I want to like be quiet and get into my headspace and do my own thing. And that might work really well when you're just going on stage. But if you're on a TV show where people are watching your entire process and you're not exciting to watch during your entire process, then that might not be as successful for you. Even if you're an amazing drag performer once you get on stage, when you're doing something like that, where all of it is taken into consideration, and sometimes it's not just about the performances, it's about the whole TV show and like the way that you interact with the other people, the way that you act when you're getting ready, all of it. If you don't fit that specific box, then it might not be as successful for you. And that says nothing about your quality as a performer.
Period.
Exactly.
Like people
No,
have
that's
asked
a
me a
good
lot
point.
if I would ever like to be on Drag Race, and as though it's my choice, as though I get to choose, like, you know what? Yeah, I am going to do Drag Race now.
Today I'm going to be on Drag
Like,
Race.
that's
Thank
not-
you so
Storm
much.
in the workroom. I'm here.
Yeah, like there are people that submit year after year after year and never get on. Like, it's not really up to me, but that said, I haven't applied. But what I always have said about it is, like, I think I could do good at the challenges. I know how to sing and dance and like throw together a look and all of this different stuff. But it's the like mental stability that I don't know if I have. I feel like I would, and especially like being in isolation basically, and it's your whole life and you have like 2 days to do all these crazy challenges. I just like, even doing this competition, which is like the mini version of that, this was plenty for me. I don't think I have what it takes to be on something like Drag Race. It seems like so much work and so hard, and like you really have to have a lot of mental strength to do something like that. I have so much respect for people who do the show and like get through the whole season. It seems awful.
Totally.
Yeah, I cannot imagine not having my phone for like months on end. I would be like, I need my Twitter, I need my Instagram, and that sounds so like shitty to say I like need my phone, but like,
but it's true. That's like where our whole social lives are for the most part. And like, not like you go back to your hotel room at the end of the night and you probably have so much stuff to work on anyway that you wouldn't want, but like you can't have any downtime to decompress and talk to someone who, like, if you just want to get out of your head for a minute and talk to a friend who's not in the competition, or get any sort of like human connection that isn't a part of the show, you don't really get to have that. And that seems awful.
Yeah.
So,
no, that's totally fair. So I want to get into Vancouver's Next Drag Superstar. Obviously, we've already talked about your first performance because it was iconic and amazing. And for anybody who hasn't seen it, it is on my Heart, Soul, and Drag page on Instagram. It's also there's clips of it on Genesis page as well. But why that? What was the concept idea for that performance?
So Michaela, wait, hold on. I'm so sorry to like cut you off before you even answer. Michaela still says wet ass pussy, and instead of saying just wet, and it annoys the fuck out of me.
Nothing wrong with that.
Thank you.
No, but it makes her sound like a 50-year-old. She's like, oh, the wet ass pussy, and I'm like,
have you heard that wet ass pussy song?
Yeah,
right? Exactly.
I heard that tune on the radio this week, and that was a good one.
That was a good one. Yeah. But yes, what was your concept idea with this performance?
Like I said, they split the first like preliminary week into 2 weeks. So week 1, group 1, their theme, there was 12 people and they were all assigned the months of the year. So they all had to do, they were given a different month at random, and they had to do a runway look and a drag number that had to do with those months. So I had the benefit of being in the first week. So I got to see the caliber of what people brought to that first one and have a little bit of a different gauge for like, okay, this is what audiences respond to. This is the critiques the judges gave. This is how full out people went for their runways. And I think it was so helpful to like ease my anxiety, having a bit more of an idea what it would be like. Because the people that went into the first week really went in blindly. They had no idea how the judging would work, how everyone else would do. And so, yeah, I had a big benefit that way. So they all had months of the year. I would say, to be honest, maybe like 5 out of the 12 months were like, yes, that is obviously that month. But the thing is, if you get January or November, how do you make those super different from each other, you know? Like,
well, I mean, November you could do like a turkey kind of I don't know. I would lean more into like the zodiac sign.
Yeah.
Like
well, first of all, DJ, you're in
Oh
in
shit!
the US,
Canada's
where
Thanksgiving.
Canada's Thanksgiving is in October, so that wouldn't work so well.
Oh shit! Then who did
Um,
Halloween? Oh,
Somebody did
that's
but
Halloween, and like that was one of the
you
obvious
maybe
ones.
could have done something. You maybe could have done something like Remembrance Day themed for November. Like you could have had like poppies or something in some sort of way incorporated into your outfit.
Yeah, see,
I
like
don't
there's
know.
different, but like
Thoughts?
I think like
I totally get it. It's like, girl, August is looking real cute right now.
exactly like how do you really
Everybody
make
came
like
out in
June?
sunglasses.
Yeah, like
That's-
June, July, and August. Those could be so similar. It's really hard.
Wait,
to
is Canada's Pride also different? Because it's not in June, is it?
There's so like June is like World Pride Month, and then every different like
Okay.
city will have their actual like parade and big celebration in a different.
We
time.
basically have all summer is Pride summer
Yeah.
for us because all different places have different prides.
Because it's like
in our
July
areas.
is
Okay,
Pride
word.
month, but we usually have our parade and stuff like first week of August.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we get a good
Weird. I don't
long
know.
Pride, which is great.
True.
And so anyway, so our theme was 12 the 12 Greek gods, the 12 Olympians, which I think is so much more interesting. There's so much more that you can do
That
with
is.
that. As like a little queer
Agreed.
kid, obviously I went through a Greek gods obsession time. I also was like I was like 12, 13, 14, right when the Percy Jackson books were really
Percy
popular. So
Jackson.
I was like obsessed with that. Right? I know, exactly. And so I got the Greek god Poseidon, which I think is a really good one because people
my
actually
God.
know who that is. Like, that's the thing, is that the Greek gods is really good because they all have a specific, like, god of water, lightning, the moon,
Yeah.
like, different kind of themes that you can really work off of that are more specific. But also, the average audience probably only knows, like, 3 Greek gods. They don't actually know all 12. All 12 is really hard.
Speaking from the audience, I can agree with that statement. I knew what yours was, and I knew what a couple other people's were. And
Exactly.
the rest of it, I was like, it's a god of some sort.
Yeah, so I felt really fortunate to receive, like, a popular one, a well-known one, especially one that has, like, a very easy theme. Like, not easy, but, you know, like, there's so much you can do with water.
There's so much like symbolism and a lot of that. Meanwhile, someone gets like, I don't know, like Hecate, you're kind of fucked.
Exactly. So some of them were a lot more clear than others. I really liked the one that I got, and especially like I take a dance class every like all the time. And in our most recent recital, the character that I was given for my dance class was a water alien. So we had done all of this workshopping on like movements that were like, how do you move like a water creature? We had like so many rehearsals.
The shape of water.
Yeah, literally that. And we had so many rehearsals like figuring out how like movement styles for that kind of character. And I also had already made some costume pieces that were like water creature costume pieces. So I was like, thank God, I don't have to go like buy a ton of new stuff, make a ton of new costumes. And so I got that theme. I had a rehearsal later that night for a different show that I was doing. And I was telling my friends about the theme and kind of like bouncing ideas around with them. And I knew right away, I was like, I want to do a part of your world into some other fast song. Because people responded really well to mixes in the first week. So I knew I wanted it to be a mix. And I knew I wanted to have like a couple different genres in there to like show some range. And one of my friends who is like brilliant genius said to me, he had like tons of ideas right off the bat. And I was like, this is amazing. Why are people so creative? And he pretty quickly was like, WAP, obviously do WAP. And I was like, yeah, of course. Like that's so the obvious answer. And he made me a mix for it like later that night. And it's brilliant and wonderful.
It is. It really is.
Just WAP holds a special place in time, and it's just like whenever I hear the beat kick in, I'm like,
that's everybody, and it's so good. And like, I have loved that
unless you're
song
Michaela
and, like,
and you're 65 years old.
Yeah. I've known every word to that song since like the week it came out. But it's not really the normal style of what I do in my drag. It's not a song that like I always have known I'd like love to perform it, but it's not really what I do normally. So having an opportunity to like do the song that I love was like, hell yeah. And I get to show my full spectrum of what I like to do in performing, which is like theater to slut. That's my spectrum.
That
Theater
new
to
Twitter
slut.
bio.
I like it.
Yeah.
Theater to slut.
Theater to slut.
Yeah. So it was like such a great way for me to introduce myself to the competition, because I got to show a lot of like range and different kind of attitudes within one number, and show some like silliness and my musical theater kind of background, and then also show some of my like burlesque kind of world. And I take like heels dance class lessons, and so getting to like show kind of some different things that I can do all within one number was very special.
Yeah.
I live.
No. And I mean, you also won that evening too.
I did.
That
I got
was your-
first
that was
place
your
for
winning
votes
number.
and everything.
First place for votes. So it was very, I mean, even being in that room and like, especially when the music switched over, I think we all knew something was going to happen, but we didn't know what. And so we were just kind of like chilling. And then you did that. It just like did that little switch.
Yeah.
And we were all like, oh, that's where we're going with this. All right.
Like,
Down under, baby.
that definitely is my favorite, like by a long shot, my favorite performance I did in the competition. And I don't know, like, it's a night I'm going to remember for the rest of my life. Like, just the way that people reacted to it was so cool. And like, I could like see all these people in the audience that are like drag performers I've respected for years and years that were like going off for me. And it was so cool. Like, the way that they started cheering when that WAP beat kicks in, I was like, okay, cool.
We did it. We did it. Mission control.
Yeah.
We landed.
And yesterday I like saw my grandma for the first time since the competition, and I showed her, she wanted to see videos from everything, and I showed her that video. Yeah. And she like loved it. I was like, I don't really want to show you this one. It's like really sexual. She's like, it's nothing I haven't seen before. I can handle it. And she loved it. And she was like, oh my gosh, you really got the moves. You can do anything. And it was,
meanwhile, it's like, look, I need a hard hit. And like, and grandma's over there like, yes.
Yeah, literally. She's
like,
she's so supportive.
Kris Jenner to Kim Kardashian. Or
you're doing
like,
great,
you're
sweetie.
doing great, sweetie.
Yeah, exactly the mood. And
Love
yeah,
it.
so that was like such a special night. And like, even just watching it again yesterday with my grandma and like hearing the way that people were cheering in it was like, that was so cool. Like, that's a really momentous performance. And I've done that song 2 more times since. Like, the next day after I did that performance, I got messages asking me to do that number in 3 different shows.
I love that for you.
Yeah.
Like this. And she is the moment. Now, come on. Now.
Yeah. Like, it's, yeah. So that's really cool. That's, I don't know how I'm ever going to come up with another number that has a concept quite that good.
Swap into like Baby Shark or something.
Yeah. So you just keep it going. How do we keep on adding?
Yeah.
You just add on to it.
Yeah. That's clearly the thing.
It'll become a 20-minute long performance, but you know what? There we go.
A 20-minute long 6-act 1-person show.
Honestly,
Just
if it works, it works.
Week 2 was groups, where you and
Mixed Jiggity.
Not my brain.
Yeah.
Thank you. I was like mixed up there.
Yeah.
Hello. Mixed Jiggity. Sorry, there were 24 people, y'all.
Yeah.
You have to work with me
24
on
is
this
like
one.
a lot.
Yeah.
I'm still like,
I don't know
Ooh.
if
Yeah,
you
anyways.
made me right now write a
Yeah,
list
honey.
of all 24 people that started, I would have a hard time. Anyway,
Right.
so
but anyways,
the winners from the first
but yes,
2
groups.
preliminary weeks had to be the team leaders. And so me and Mixed Jiggity, who won week 1, group 1, went out for coffee and divided all of the 12 people into 2 teams. We actually had 13 because they did a double save in the lip sync that night. And so we had a team of 6 and a team of 7 that we divided everyone up into. And then we had to, in 6 days, do a group number, which had to be maximum 10 minutes long. It had to contain at least a 30-second solo for every person in the number. So ours ended up being like just under 10 minutes. It's really hard to fit in
yeah,
one
I was
in
like, that's
without
a
it being 10
lot.
minutes. So a 10-minute group number in 6 days. And then also on top of that,
7 people on the stage.
Mm-hmm. And then on top of it, they brought back the eliminated competitors and did duets with them. So we had to do duets with people who had already been eliminated and also do group numbers. So that second week was the most, and we had to do a social media challenge with the group as well. So that second week of the competition was the most work ever. That was our breaking point for everyone. And I knew when that week was happening, I was like, nothing they could make us do would be harder than this. That was by far the hardest one, because just like the scheduling alone, you can't like work on it by yourself. You have to get together with 6 different people who all have day jobs and other shows and lives to contend with. And luckily enough, though, like my group was freaking amazing. We met up. So we got the challenge on like Friday night. We met up Saturday morning. We had a Zoom call Friday night, picked all our songs. Someone in my group stayed up till like 3 a.m. making our mix that night. And then we had a rehearsal at like 10 a.m. Saturday morning, and we danced together for like 5 hours, and I had our whole number choreographed not even 24 hours after we got the challenge. So that we could have as many days as possible to practice it. And I really like what we did for our group number. We did like a Britney Spears mix, telling a story of like someone who goes to the circus and then the circus is evil. And it was really fun. And it's very like the people that I chose to be in my group were people that have more acting backgrounds and people that I knew would be into putting together a more like theatrical kind of performance. I didn't want it to just be like drag group number. I wanted it to be like a full show. And I feel like it was. I really liked the group number.
It was. I missed it because I was sick that week, but I saw it. I saw the performances like on the videos and stuff like that. And I remember looking at it and just going, oh, wow. Like it looked like a full production. Yeah. It was really cool.
And it's pretty cool that we put it together in like 5 days. Like that's so cool. So that was awesome. And then we also had to do duets. So I had to do a duet with Cara Bear, who had gotten eliminated in the first week. We hadn't met before the competition or anything like that. And we had a really nice time working together. They're so freaking sweet and newer to drag. So I wanted to make sure to do something that we could both succeed at. And my goal with that number was like, so if your duet had someone who got eliminated in it and you got first place for the duets for the night, that person gets to come back into the competition. So I really
Which is how Maya ended up back in the competition.
Yeah. So I really wanted to show the judges that Cara Bear was like working on the things that they got critiqued on in the first week and like give them a chance to shine. And it's funny enough, the critiques that we got after the number were like, that was awesome, Cara Bear, you're such a star. In fact, you kind of outshone Genesis. And I was like, you know what? That's fine. That's because that's kind of
you're like, I'm good with that.
That's what my purpose for the number was I wanted to give them a chance to show what they got. Because at the end of the day, not in like a cocky way, but I felt pretty confident that I was going to go through to the next week either way. But this might be Cara Bear's last chance in this competition to show people what she's got. And so I was like, I want to make sure that they get an opportunity to really like show their talents to the audience in case this is their last chance to do so. And I feel like that happened and they got like extremely positive critiques and it went really, really well. So it's not like they said I was bad. They said like, you still did great. You just weren't as like heavily featured as Cara Bear in the number. I'm like, that's fine. That's not, I don't have to be the center of attention in every single moment of every number. That's okay.
Well, and I think that shows your character too, and the fact that you knew for a fact that this was probably going to be Cara Bear's last chance of the competition, and you wanted to do everything you could to be able to put their best foot forward. Yeah. In having an opportunity to get back in the competition.
Yeah, and it's not even like I thought that our duet wouldn't be good or anything. I knew we would put together a great show between the two of us, but the reason why I had a feeling it would be really hard to be the top ranking duet is because not all of the eliminated people wanted to come back for various reasons, whether it's scheduling or they weren't happy with how the first week went or something like that. So some of the duet pairings were two people who did get through. So we had kind of
I noticed
imbalanced
that.
pairings where some people were like someone really inexperienced and then someone who did get through and is more experienced. And then some pairings were two really, really strong people who both did make it through the competition. So putting up against that, I had a feeling it would be really, really hard to come in first. So we like used our strengths, did the best we could. I feel really proud of that number. So that was week 2, which was like definitely the most exhausting week of the competition. It was so hard.
Yes.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
Yoinks.
Yeah.
Yoinks, yeah. But yes, so then obviously you make it through that week and you end up going into week 3, which ended up being Judge's Choice.
Yeah, so...
which they had done in the past. I know they had done it in the past, like right at the beginning kind of time. So that was a little bit later than they had usually done it. What did you think when you got the song that they had chosen for you?
Yeah, so my understanding is like every year it's a little bit different. They don't want it to be predictable either for the audience or the competitors, but there kind of is always like a duet, a group challenge, a Judge's Choice night, a Your Best Drag night. Like those kind of things are always going to be like the kind of standard, but with different twists on them every time. So I knew that Judge's Choice would be coming, and I was trying to really predict, like, what are they going to give me? Because at that point in week 1, I had shown that I can do, like, campy musical theater kind of thing, and that I could do, like, super sexy. In week 2, I had shown that I can do more, like, it was mostly theater kind of stuff that I did in week 2, I would say. Like, I didn't do... Yeah, so, but it was very different from my first week, stylistically, but, like... So I'd already shown some range at that point, so I was trying to predict what they might give me. I had a feeling it would probably be a ballad or something more like, I don't know, like contemporary, feelingsy, like that was kind of the idea that I would get. But at the same time, like, I don't know how to say this without being cocky. It's not even, it doesn't come from a place of like, I'm so amazing, I can do anything. But what musical theater does give to people is like, you kind of have to do every genre and every mood when you do theater. And I have been in shows from the time I was for like pretty, let's say like 14 years consistently. I did like minimum 2 musicals a year. I've played a lot of different characters and I've done a lot of different styles and moods and stuff. So I'm not really scared of any particular genres. I also did show choir in high school.
That's an experience.
And so, yeah, we can get into that later. And so I had done so many different styles already. So I was like, there's nothing I can picture in Judge's Choice that they could give me that would really like totally throw me off, which I felt like was an asset going into that. So they gave me Unbreak My Heart by Toni Braxton, which is a song that I knew from like, I feel like my mom played it on the radio a lot when I was a kid, like that kind of thing. I had never sung it before or like performed to it at all, but I did know the song already, which is like, that's a bonus that I didn't have to like completely learn a new song from scratch. I didn't know the words super well, but like I knew the song pretty well. And so I am a singer. That's like really the first performing I ever did was singing mostly. And so that's what I feel most confident in really. And it's a very challenging song. It is like not something I would normally choose to sing for myself because it is like really hard. But I thought if I'm going to show that I can sing at some point in the competition, I think this is the week to do it because I was the only person who was given a ballad out of all the top 8 at this point for the semifinals. There's 8 people left. Most of them had like either pop songs or musical theater songs. I was the only one that got a ballad. And I wanted to find a way to make a ballad stand out enough that it'll still be good enough to get me through to the next week. And so I sang it. Yeah. And I knew it was a really big gamble because it wasn't a super great sound system in there. And it's a really challenging song. And so I knew it would either like totally flop or be the thing that is like, wow, you took a risk and it gets
like,
you through.
This is going to put you in the top where it's like, ixnay or like
Exactly.
guy.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, and celebrities where it was being held is notorious for having bad sound.
Oh,
It is
God.
notorious for it, especially with a microphone.
Yeah.
We've had multiple times where like Brat Pack has performed there and one of their microphones doesn't work, or there's random feedback issues.
It's
so
cursed.
like when I first saw you walk out and you had a microphone in your hand, I went, "Oh, this could be interesting."
Exactly.
I'm like, I'm hoping it's gonna go well,
no,
but I'm
Michaela was
seeing
out
it
there like-
happening.
So the whole show, and I was last in the show that night. So the whole time I was sitting backstage like, oh my God, am I doing the wrong thing? This would be so much easier if I was just going out and lip syncing. Like, fuck, why did I choose this? But I did, and whatever. And it went really well. And that's exactly what the judges said, was like, you took a huge risk and it paid off. And I was like, thank God, because I was so scared that it would flop, and it didn't. And I came in third place for that night, which I think is great. And I made it through to the finale. So it was good enough to get me through, and that's what really matters. So I'm really proud of that performance. It was like half of the song is like super pitchy and then the other half sounds pretty good, but like it's a really hard song and I couldn't hear myself very well, and it's like emotional, and I like couldn't, like, my breath support was really tough because it's like an exhausting song to sing, and I was trying.
That was my favorite thing, was when the judges started critiquing you, and they were like, "Oh, so how do you think it went?" And you were like, "Well, I could have been a little better on this and whatever." And everybody was like, "Okay, but yes, but like,
yeah,
okay, I'm glad that you're aware of that fact, but like also,
yeah." And the thing is, at the end of the day, like I somehow I guess I am a professional singer. Like I can't really argue that. That is how I make my main income, is from singing. And I have performed in so many different venues, so many different settings where like I have no monitors, or I can't hear myself, or I can't hear my music, whatever, any kind of circumstances that could happen have already happened. Like I've had shows where I forget my words, where I can't hear things, where I'm off key, like whatever, it happens, and I've done it before. And so that was another one where I was so anxious the whole day leading up to it. And then right before I went on stage, I was like, this is what I do. I know how to do this. Like, you're going to get through. You can't doubt yourself. You just have to act confident and do your thing. Like, that's what I do. And so I did. And I'm really happy that I made the choice, because I knew that would probably be my one opportunity to sing in the competition. And it said in the email for Judge's Choice, like, here's your songs. We want you to succeed. We've all chosen songs that we think that you can do well, but like, do something interesting with it. Make it your own. And so I knew like that. And it's funny too, because as soon as I got the challenge, every time I would tell people in the scene like what song I got, they're like, "Oh, so you're gonna sing it, right?" So I was like, okay, I'm gonna have to sing it. Like, it'd be weird if I didn't, almost, because that's kind of what I do. And so
Do you think that's what the judges had in mind? They were like, okay, no, they can sing, so let's give them the only ballad.
They
like,
might have, yeah. And like the producer of the competition, Tommy, said that is like one of his favorite ballads of all time. And I was like, oh God.
Oh boy.
But he said it kind of in the way of like, you're one of the strongest people, so we needed to really challenge you. So I gave you a song that I really love. And I was like, oh, that's crazy. And so, yeah, so like that might have been what they expected. I don't know. I feel like it would have been anticlimactic if I just lip synced it, and I would have like acted the hell out of it.
I honestly think so
like,
too.
It wouldn't have been as special, right? So
yeah,
no,
that was
I
like
think,
a moment.
I think that. Yeah, I was gonna say, I think that also allowed you to show that you're a fully rounded performer too. I mean, you can do pretty much anything, and so it was a full circle moment of like, okay, I started with this like, here's my sexy upbeat dance kind of moment. And then, I went into my theater kind of ish, and now I'm doing singing, and here I am as a full performer.
Exactly. I wanted to like really show different things. So that brings us into finale week. And
I was going to say, I think that sets us up really well for finale week too.
So what our challenge was, and they told us that night, they brought the top 4 downstairs and said, this is a really big challenge, so we're going to tell you right away what it is. And it was to produce and host your own mini 20-minute show. So what they said to us was like, if we were to give you a budget and a venue and you had a weekly show, what would it be like? What would a show that represents you, what kind of show would you produce? And so immediately my first question was like, does it have to be strictly drag, or can it be a variety show? Because I know, like, a show that represents me, I feel has to involve either singing or burlesque or something a little bit different. It wouldn't be like a show that I would produce probably wouldn't be just a strictly drag show, because that's not what I do. And
Yep.
they said, yes, it could be a variety show. So it had to have a minimum of 2 guests. And within your 20 minutes, you had to have 1 solo that you do, minimum of 2 guests, and a group number. And then separate from that 20-minute show, we also had to do a final Your Best Drag solo. And so I knew pretty immediately what I wanted my 20-minute show to be like, because like I knew I wanted burlesque variety show kind of thing. I have so many amazing friends. I immediately too, I was like, hey, can you come to my show and do this number exactly? Can you, like, I knew what songs I wanted that people, I had already seen them do, and I knew who I wanted to call. And it's like extremely strong performers that I had in my show, which like they're all so freaking good. And so that was really great. And then I had wanted to do the song Let's Go Crazy by Prince for a long time, because it's like, that's not a song I'm going to do at like Junction. I needed to do it on like a big stage with the lights and everything. And so I knew I either wanted to do that for like my final solo or in my show. And then I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do for my final solo the next day. And I was just like playing my musical theater playlist, and Show Off from the Drowsy Chaperone came on. And I was like, oh my God, this is it. This is the song. It literally was like one of the first couple songs that came up on the shuffle. And I was like, oh yeah, that's what I'm going to do. And then I was trying to think of what I wanted to do with it. And I pretty quickly came up with like, because I was like, there's such a long dance break in here. And in the musical, The Drowsy Chaperone, the song is like, she's contemplating quitting showbiz to get married and like follow love and step away from the stage. And she's like, oh, I'm not going to be a star anymore. You're never going to see these amazing things I can do. And in the dance break of the song, she's like charming a snake and spinning plates and doing backflips and all this stuff. And I was like, I'm not going to do any of that. What can I do in my dance break? And so I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to do little callbacks to all my previous numbers. So I like brought back my props and costume pieces from the first 3 weeks of the competition and did like a little snippet of those numbers during the little dance break portion of Show Off. So that was my like final finale. And going into that week, honestly, like I love hosting. It's something that I've only done a few times, but I feel like I'm pretty good at and I want to do more of. And so I have so much faith and trust in my talented people that I had within my show as well. So I knew that would be like really smooth sailing. We got together and did our group number. It literally took us like an hour to choreograph it because it is a short song. And Gigi Lavande, who is one of my guests that I had in the show.
So good.
Yeah, she was my first dance teacher that I went to after not dancing for quite a long time. The first person that I took like a heels dance class from. And Gigi has wanted to start getting into drag. They have been doing burlesque for a long time, but wanted to get into the drag scene. So they had that Venus number that they decided to do like with a lip sync because they look like Lady Gaga and they're like so freaking talented.
I was listening to that song earlier.
Yeah, it's so good. So I had already seen them do Venus before and they said to me like, yeah, I'm thinking about like starting drag and stuff. So immediately I was like, okay, if you want to get introduced to the drag scene, come do this show.
Here you go.
Yeah. And so Gigi Lavande choreographed our little group number for us as well, which was awesome because like that's what they do professionally. They're a very good choreographer. And so it was awesome to have that asset as well. And in that week leading up to it, like compared to the first week that I had preparing for week 1, I had so much more energy and motivation and spark. And then after like week after week, I was so tired going into the finale. And then I got my period like 3 days before the finale too. And I just like, I get like really bad cramps. I get so tired. I get so emotional. My body, I just feel like gross in my body and like not great. And so like most of my week that I was prepping for that performance, I was like in that state, and I was like just not having it. And so
Yeah.
I feel good about my final performances in that last week, but not like, I don't think it was my best. I think if I had had even like 2 more days to like brush up, because I pretty much like did not have real choreography for either of my final numbers. I was just kind of improving, because there's only so much you can do. Like you have to come up with all the costumes and so many other things that like I didn't have the time and energy to really set like super strong choreography and practice it and perfect it. And that's the thing, like you only have a short amount of time. You can only focus on so many things. And I needed to focus on the elements, like getting my costumes and everything ready, because I can't do it without those things. Whereas I can kind of improv the dance part to an extent. So I don't feel like those were my strongest performances that I've ever done, because I wasn't in like the greatest state of mind, like energy wise, body wise, and also just like the energy and amount of prep that I was able to provide for that last week was not to my highest level. And that's not to say that they're bad by any means, obviously. Like it was still good enough to win the competition, but like I watch them and I know that it's not my absolute best. And there's things that I see that I'm like, oh, if I had like 1 more day to practice, that moment would have been stronger and stuff like that, which is like so silly and nitpicky and things that I'm sure no one else cares about. But that does feed into the imposter syndrome a bit.
And like, yeah.
Well, yeah, we're our own worst critic too. And so like you, like, I mean, like I watch your performance and I'm like, oh my God, that was so good. And I mean, like, even at the end of your show with your burlesque friends and everybody, there was one person who screamed out, well, there's your winner.
Yeah.
Because they all, like, we watched it, we were all just like in awe, like watching your guys' performances.
Yeah.
And it was one of the things, but like you said, like for you look at it and go, oh, well, I could have done this differently and I could have done this differently. And I think that also comes from like musical theater background too, that we're so trained in our brain of like, this is what we do and this is how we perform and this is how this happens. And we go to this spot, and this show happens here. And we're very choreographed in our brain. And if it's not that way, then our brain is like, well, you could have done this instead of this and stuff like that.
Yeah. So like, I know they were still strong performances, like on the grand scheme of things. It just like, especially when it is such high stakes and it's like, a little part of me is like, I feel guilty winning with something that I don't feel was my absolute best of my best. Because it would be one thing if I like did like, oh my God, that was the best performance I ever did in my life and I won, I would feel like, okay, yeah, of course that was deserving. But because I see all those things that I can tweak, I'm like, it makes me feel less great about it. That said, had I not won, would I watch them and be any more gentle on myself? Probably not. Like,
well, yeah, exactly. And I think you also have to take into account, I think with the finale, especially since a lot of us had been going every single week, so we had seen your progression in the competition too. I think that also played a fact into a lot of people's judging and stuff like that too, was that we were looking at the performances. I mean, I know I was looking at performances and going, okay, who continually kept up their standard of performance? Like maybe, as you were saying, maybe it wasn't your best performance. I still loved it. I thought it was great. But if that's the case, then that's how you feel. But like, I still saw progression throughout the entire competition. And we saw a growth. I mean, I also, like I said, full rounded performer in the way that you were doing something different every single week. We didn't know what to expect from you every single week. And I think that also played a part into it as well, was that a lot of people were like, okay, well, what's going to happen now? Like, well, Genesis is coming out. What's going to happen?
Yeah.
Like,
and I do feel really proud of the range that I showed. Like, I do feel like I accomplished my goal of like showing people what I'm capable of and really giving like completely different performances every time, which I think is really exciting. So overall, I do feel like deserving and like I did my best work. It's so hard not to be hard on yourself when it's something like to this level. But yeah, that's exactly it, where like in my head, there is that part of me that's like, I feel like I'm only as good as my last performance, and my last performance wasn't what I felt was my absolute best of my best. but that said, like, it's still good. There's still parts of it that I'm like super, super proud of. And I think we're really good. And like, I do look at the pictures from the last night and I'm like, okay, maybe I am like kind of really cool. This is pretty cool. Like, we got the best stage photos from these shows that I could ever imagine.
I saw them and I was like,
they're all so good. And
obsessed.
so I like look at all the pictures from it and I'm like, okay, this might be pretty cool. So yeah, but those are like all the feelings that I've been grappling with all week in like, I'm excited and I'm proud of myself. And yet there's still things that I wish I could have done better or differently. But that is the thing with live performance too. Like, it's really about like being in the moment and like, it is what it is. That's why I prefer doing live performance to doing like a movie or something, where if I know that if I did film and TV, I would sit and watch it and nitpick everything. And like, you can't change it. Yes, you can do multiple takes, but like once it's out there, it's out there. Whereas performance, I like that it's kind of like you do it and it's done and you walk away and you remember it and maybe you'll have some videos, but like, it's really for the people that are in the room at that time. And it's like instant gratification and you live in the moment and you do it and it's over. And I like that a lot. So
totally.
I'm trying to just kind of release any sort of feelings of questioning what I should have done differently. Cause like, as much as I feel like I wish I did more, I put in as much work as I possibly could have in that last week. I could not have done more choreography and practicing and stuff if I tried. Like I did everything that I physically could have done. And that's what I have to walk away from it knowing is like, I did the best to my ability at that time. And that's all you can ever really do.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So, with your VNDS win, or your reign, I should say, what are some upcoming projects? What can we expect? Do you have anything planned?
Yeah. So what I really want to do is continue doing what I'm doing. Like, I loved the performances that I put together in this, and I really got to feel like I like the feeling of doing bigger numbers. I liked doing more like a curated, like, ooh, this is the concept of this number. Like, that was really fun. And I want to do more songs like that. I also really liked the way that people responded to, and the way that it makes me feel doing like drag and burlesque hybrid kind of things. So I know that that's what I want to do more of. So if anything, this competition gave me such a good sense of direction of what I want to see from myself moving forward and like the kind of bigger and better things I want to be working on. So I want to continue doing more like really big, high quality numbers like that. In general, my goal for this next year is quality over quantity. I would rather be doing like 10 shows a month with like strong numbers, bigger audiences, bigger rates that I'm getting paid, rather than doing like 20 shows in a month for less money and I have less energy to give to it and it's kind of like not to the same quality.
It's kind of just, it's a Britney night. No, I feel that.
Yeah. So I want more quality over quantity in like every kind of way. And then I would love to travel more. I'm going to Vancouver Island and doing a couple of shows there next month and I'm really excited for that. One of the really great prizes that we get is we get managed by the company TFD Presents, who produces VNDS. And so I'm going to meet with he's my agent now, I guess, next week.
It's like, oh, my agent, yeah, he takes all my calls now.
And so
just message my agent.
Exactly.
My agent.
What a dream. And so I want to talk with him about my game plan for what I would like to do as far as starting to produce my own shows, to book some bigger gigs and things like that. So overall, I don't have a particular plan or goal as far as exactly what I want to do, but what I know is that I want to continue performing full time at like my highest possible level and just continue improving the quality of my performances and my costuming. And like, I want to prove to everyone as well, like that I do deserve this and I got it for a reason, and like use the platform that I have now for good in the world. And I think that I am capable of that. And Now I just have to do it, but also trying not to put too much pressure on myself and all those things as well. So like, learning that balance.
Yeah.
Totally. So as we wrap up this interview, we like to ask this one question to all of our guests because we feel like it's a very important question. So DJ and I are both drag performers in our respective areas. And we just want to know, what advice do you have for either people who want to start doing drag or who have only been doing drag for a little bit?
Yeah, I would say the biggest way to get better is to do it as much as you can, make connections within your community. If you haven't started yet, then the best thing to do is get out there, go to shows, get inspired, see what type of drag you like to watch, see what you connect with. And then also through doing that, get to know people within the community so that you're not just walking in and saying like, hey, I know we've never met before, but like, let me go on stage. Like, get to know people so that they know you and trust you and see that you're passionate and see that you're putting in that effort to be a part of the community before you want to be the star yourself. I think that that's extremely important. And then once you do get out there and you're doing your own shows, do things that you feel passionate about. The nights where I've chosen songs that I'm like, this is going to be a crowd pleaser, this, whatever, and I don't connect with it as much, people can see that. But sometimes I'll go out there and I'll do a song that I know in my heart, no one in the room will know this song, but I love dancing to this song. And I'm really connecting with the music. People love that. And people will come up to me after and be like, I've never heard that song before and it was so good. Like, yeah, because I had fun doing it. People can tell when you're having fun. That's what people want to see the most at the end of the day. So yeah, getting to know the community and then really connecting with what you're performing, I think, is the most important things. And also like something that I do in preparation for my performances, getting inspired by going to shows is wonderful, but also I will watch like tons of music videos. I will look up live performances by my favorite singers. I will watch dance scenes from Broadway movies and just like see what different performers do and what's interesting to watch. And like, if I'm doing a song, I will look up like how a few different people dance to that song just to kind of get an idea of like, ooh, I didn't think about dancing on that beat or moving my body in this way, and like constantly trying to keep myself inspired. Like if I'm having a lazy day where I don't have it in me to be super productive and like get up and practice or work on costumes or something, I'll be like, just watch music videos for 20 minutes just to still keep my mind active on what I'm working towards and like get inspired by what I see other people do. And that's something that's been super helpful for me. Yeah.
Work.
I love it.
I love that.
Yeah. That's it. That's me.
So, this is your 5 minutes of fame on this podcast, even though we literally just had the most amazing interview ever. Plug all of the socials. Where can we find you? How can we keep up with you?
Yeah, my Instagram is exclusively Genesis. And I might be shadow banned because I put my butt on there a lot. So you kind of have to type in the entire name sometimes.
You heard us.
Yeah. So that's exclusively Genesis. And
any caps, any spaces?
Nope. All just straightforward. Okay. And then that's the biggest thing. That's where I post all of my shows. I've got a link tree on the bio on my Instagram there where you can see links to all of my upcoming shows. And yeah, that's the biggest place to find me. I also I teach a Drag 101 dance class at a dance school called Passion and Performance. So if you're in the Vancouver area and you're wanting to get into drag, that's a really great place to get started. And I also sing in a group called Dimes Entertainment. So we've got shows throughout the Lower Mainland all the time as well. So yeah, that's what I'm up to.
Yeah.
That's awesome. All right. So I think that's all the time we have, but we want to thank you so much for coming on the podcast. And we want to say that we hope that everything that you do in the future is happy and successful for you.
Thank you. This was so much fun. It's so good to like get to know you two better, get to talk. Yeah. I would love to talk with you more just in general. So yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Keep an eye on your DMs.
I will.
Hope you enjoyed that amazing finale interview. I know we did. This season has really been incredible. We've talked to amazing people. we've talked about so much. Like, I know I say I have a big mouth, but we talked a lot, and I loved every second of it. So for the last time this season, not forever, I hope you all have an amazing time.
DJ?
Yeah, Michaela.
You forgot to tell everybody about our socials.
I know. Do you want to tell them about it?
Sure. So our Instagram is We Are So Not Straight Pod. Our Twitter is Not Straight Pod. Our TikTok, which I will be posting more on. I know everybody.
There's a lot coming of me.
Yeah, there's a lot.
I don't know what that
DJ.
means.
I have a really great blooper reel of DJ, of how many times DJ has messed up while talking on the podcast. So keep your eye out for that. But if you want to go see that and a bunch of other things that I am going to be posting eventually, please go follow us on our TikTok, which is We Are So Not Straight Pod, exactly like our Instagram. Made it super easy for you to find us. So please go give us a follow on there. Give us some likes on our videos, comment on our videos. I will be commenting back on our videos, so please comment on our videos. Or DJ. DJ also has the login, so DJ could also come and comment on the videos.
You can normally tell the difference between me and Michaela's comment, because Michaela's are like, wow, thank you so much. And I'm like, slay, with this emoji.
Slay. Or we started, oh my gosh, okay, so y'all, here, see, I'm getting sidetracked, but I'm saying it anyway. So you will, if anybody ever messages us on Instagram, both DJ and I have the login for Instagram. So if you ever message us on there, you will get one of us to message you back. But quite often we'll put like a little like thing at the bottom with our name on it so that you know it's which one it is of us, because we always just want to make sure that we're being transparent.
I go into live sometimes and they're always like, oh, hi, Michaela. And I'm like...
It's usually me, though.
It is typically Michaela. I mean, they're not wrong, but like on the off chance I want to support a performer and they're like, hi, Michaela. And I'm like...
You just comment, it's DJ.
I should start posing. I should start posing as you.
Oh my god, don't pose as me. That sounds terrifying. Oh my god, please don't do that. Anybody, if there is random comments coming from our podcast on a live and it does not sound like me and they say they're me, it's not me. Okay? Cool. Thanks. Love that. Okay, anyway.
What do you
now that
type?
We're going back.
I don't know what.
Shh. I want to finish this. Let me finish. Thank you. Okay. Our YouTube channel, which is where you are right now. So if you don't know where you are right now, that's a little bit concerning and you should probably go give a hug to a friend. But
Call your loved one.
Call your loved one, do all those things. But if you want to see our videos from season 1 with the cast of Call Me Mother season 2, as well as all of the interviews from season 2, since this is the finale episode, you can head over to our YouTube channel, which is where you are right now. Anyways, you can go there, which is We Are So Not Straight Podcast. And yeah, we would love for people to subscribe to our channel, give us some thumbs up, comment. Like I said, we do comment
or a thumbs down. It still helps us.
Yeah, I mean, it still gives us, stuff. So anything really. But if you comment again, we try our best to comment back to everybody. So if you want to, ask us a question or do stuff like that, even if we are not doing the podcast for 2 weeks, we will still be on there. So please feel free to send us a question on there. And yeah, we would love to be able to, engage with you and talk with you guys. So please do that. It also helps us. We're trying to get more people subscribed to our channel. We're trying to get a bigger presence on YouTube. So please share with your friends, family, strangers, anybody really. It would really help us and we would appreciate the support. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, fits of rage, or suggestions, you can email us at wearesonotstraight@gmail.com. All this information will be down in the description box below. All right, DJ, you can finish the outro.
Oh, and if you're a grandmother who just discovered what drag was, reach out to your nearest Gen Z grandchild and they'll help you, okay? You're gonna be okay.
Nice. Thank you. Love that.
Okay, anyways, I hope you all have a fantabulous rest of your day, and we will see you all in season 3. Mwah. Bye.
Bye.